All right, this is Jen Dyes here for Status Coup, and what's your name?
Summer Dickerson.
And we're here in Louisville, Kentucky, in Freedom Square, which has become a daily meeting place for protesters. Obviously protesting the horrific murder of Breonna Taylor, then following that, David McAtee, so many others, so many names out there, murder of black people at the hands of police. It's horrific. So tell us a little bit about your organizing efforts, what you guys have been doing.
So what we've been doing here in Louisville is we want justice. You know, we want justice for Breonna, but we want all of the, you know, just the craziness that we got going on here in Louisville with our police department. We want it to stop. You know what I mean? We want some accountability put in play. I'm not going to sit here and say that every officer that we have is just this horrible person. You know what I mean? But clearly we've got some things going on, and it needs to be addressed. And so what we're trying to do is get more community involvement. And so some of the ideas that we've talked, I mean, of course we're going to hold space and we're going to stay here until Breonna's, you know, her family gets justice. Yaya's family gets justice. Tyler's family gets justice. We keep adding more names to the situation, which is just kind of showing too another reason why we have to protest. But what we want is we want accountability. We want, you know, more community involvement and with the police. We want the police brought to justice. We want some of that money that is pouring into LMPD to be put back into the community so they can help, because our educational system here in Jefferson County sucks. You know, everything starts with education, right? We got communities that are literally just barely have any, you know, stores or anything like that. We want those communities lifted up and brought up. And we definitely want more accountability, because anybody, you know, if a doctor does his job, right, and he drinks on the job and he kills somebody, he's going to get fired. Why are we having, you know, all these situations and cops aren't being held accountable? If I go out and I kill somebody, I'm going to be held accountable right then and there. Actually, the young man that killed Tyler is sitting in jail right now, and he's been sitting there since the event happened. We can't say that for the other situations. Why? Because it's police officers. And, you know, we want to, you know, you want to believe that your police officers are going to protect and serve you, right? You want to believe that that's what they're here for. But when we keep having situations that keep arising, well, it's time for the community to call for accountability, and that's what we want.
I think a lot of people don't realize that as we're interviewing here, it's been 115 days since Breonna Taylor was murdered. And it turns out that her name didn't make national news until quite a while later,
right.
Until after George Floyd was murdered. And then we heard earlier from someone that activists have been trying to push her name out there, trying to make people aware. Finally, yeah. Her name became in the national spotlight as part of these protests. Do you think I've been speculating and thinking about this a lot, the fact that she's a black woman, do you feel like that plays a role in the amount of coverage that she got or didn't get, and the fact that her murders haven't been brought to justice?
I definitely think that it is playing a role in it, you know, and I think that's ridiculous, because it should not matter that she is, it should matter the most that she's a black woman and she gets the justice that she deserves, just like anybody else. I mean, God forbid if something happened to you, it'd probably be all over the news. And the simple fact that just because she's a black woman, that is not the same as if something happened to me or you, that's unacceptable, you know, and I lived by where that happened. So I was there that night. It was insane, you know, and the fact that, and what I think is happening, this is just my theory, is that, you know, we had COVID hit, right? So everybody had to kind of sit still. We've all been so busy. We listen to whatever it is people force feed us because we're busy in our own life. Well, now everybody's had to sit still and really pay attention. Then Floyd, I mean, when that happened to Floyd, you cannot, that was murder, clearly, you know what I mean? And everybody's seen that. So then people started going, wait a minute. I heard about something in Louisville, Kentucky, and I heard about something over here, and I heard let me look at that. And plus, as citizens in Louisville, we're like, enough's enough. It's been so long, and nobody's saying Breonna's name, and she deserves. So then we started really ramping it up. And once we ramped it up, then people started, you know, and the Floyd situation brought to light, and now people are saying her name all over the world. And as beautiful as that is, I love that in every household somebody's having a conversation about Breonna, but what I would love more is to say, hey, Breonna's killers were brought, they got fired and they were arrested.
And that's so baffling to everybody with any common sense. Is what are they investigating? What's taking so long? It seems like when they released that report that listed that she had no injuries, the police released this report, no injuries and no forced entry, and based on eyewitness reports, they did barge in and use a battering ram. Obviously, she had injuries. She died. She was shot 8 times. So it's ridiculous, and the police have no accountability except for you guys who are out here protesting, who are making demands, putting pressure on your local politicians. Talk a little bit about the recent city council vote where the budget was in discussions, and activists had a certain list of demands. It didn't quite happen the way that activists wanted.
Yeah, so to me it seems like they got a raise instead of what we were asking. And and I understand when people hear the word defunding the police, right? I understand that could maybe shake a little people like, wait a minute, what do you mean, no police? But that's not what we were asking. We were asking for some of the resources that are put into the police department to be put into the community. And not only that, but we're also asking for officers that are going to patrol these beats live in that area. Because if you got somebody that's on the outside coming in, they're not going to understand people that live in that area. And the fact that here we are in the middle of this, we're on 100 and something days since Breonna's been killed, almost 40 days of protesting, and the Metro Council meets and they not only not listen to what they say, but they add more money to it. And what's saddening is the good officers we do have here, they're not being helped, you know what I mean? And then you've got, these guys that have, the one that's been fired, sorry, my name's a little jacked up, in Breonna's case, he had plenty of things happen before the Breonna Taylor thing happened. He had sexual assault cases or whatever, all these different things that, he bent already. Why was he even still on the force? So the fact that they didn't even take in consideration what we're asking for, we're not saying we don't want police departments. We're saying take some of that funding and put it back into the communities, because unfortunately Louisville is very segregated, very, and there's some areas that need help, and it's like, I don't think, it's too much to ask as community members that help pay these taxes to say, hey, can we put some of that funding into some of these programs? We have a joke here in Louisville, they spent $2 million on bike lanes, but yet we don't have a Boys and Girls Club open. Like, seriously? Like, we have, last year it was teachers protesting because they weren't getting what they needed and the support that they needed. So clearly this is a huge issue. Yes, it's LMPD, but as a whole, as a city, LMPD has their issues, most definitely, but as a city, we have some big problems going on. And personally, I think that there's, this Breonna Taylor thing has just blew the top off of a bunch of stuff that maybe not even all of us realize just yet. And that's why things might be taking a little while, because more stuff keeps coming out, more stuff. And then even since Breonna's been killed, Yaya was killed, which is David McAtee. They had orders not to even go down there. So why they were down there is beyond me. You know what I mean?
Tell people a little bit about that area. So it's the West End is the poorer side, the blacker side of the city. And David Yaya's barbecue, I don't know if it's a stand or a shop, but it was 20 blocks away from where the protests were, but police ended up there in mass, and you can tell that.
So it's over on 26, which is in the West End. Yeah, David McAtee, what he did with his barbecue is he fed the police, he fed homeless people. If you needed food and you didn't have money, he didn't care. He poured life into people. And as you said, it's 20 blocks from where the protest was. They were not supposed to go down there because there's no protesting happening. It's almost like a men's club, right? So like all the guys are hanging out, doing what they're doing, just chilling. And then next thing you know, here they come, they have everything, the cops come, they have no cameras on. They're down there where they shouldn't be. They're firing. If you're inside your business and you see your niece fall back because she gets hit, what do you think's going on? You know what I mean? Like, all of that is ridiculous, and I feel like that's kind of being swept under the rug right now, too. It comes to find out LMPD didn't shoot him. It was a National Guard that shot him. So now this is federal. You know what I mean? Like, we just need answers. We want communication. We want to know we have the right to know what's going on in our city. And when you know, and Yahya was an amazing man. He poured, matter of fact, that day he was setting up, because I do a lot of ministry. I live down there, I do ministry down there, and I was leaving the protest, and I went around, and he set up, I was like, love you. He's like, love you, Red. You know, he had this beautiful smile that just poured into the community, and I almost feel like, you know, it's like, okay, well, what's going on with him? What's going on with his case? Why aren't we talking about his case? You know?
It's another case of the police lying, because there were, they did ballistics or forensics, and found that the police were shooting, as you mentioned with Denise, pepper bullets.
Yeah.
And so the police think they can get away with all of these lies, but people are paying close attention now, and trying to get the truth out there.
And thank God for these things right here. Thank God for these things right here, because everybody can pick their phone up and they can live stream and people can see what's going on. And you know, and even in that aspect, there's live streamers that have been attacked and targeted because they're telling the truth. You know, this is our community. We stand with our community, and we're going to bring light to darkness. That's the way it goes. You know, you can only do things in the dark for so long, and people aren't going to go, hey, wait a minute, you know. And so we as a community, we just, you know, the unity that I've seen here in Louisville, I've never seen in my life since I've lived here. And there's people coming from all walks of life, sticking together, going, hey, wait a minute, this isn't right. Something's not right here, you know what I mean? And so is it bad because we want justice for our citizens, our brothers and sisters that have been killed by the same people that are supposed to serve us and protect us? Is it wrong because we want answers on that? No, it's not. Everybody should be standing up. And every community should be standing up, because it's not just here in Louisville. We see videos all over the world of black and brown and poor people being shot, harassed, all this. Myself, not here in Louisville, I want to make sure I make that clear, but myself, I've been raped by 3 cops in uniform when I was a trafficking survivor. So, you know what I mean? Like, everybody should be paying attention to what's going on, because this is happening in every county, not just Louisville, Kentucky. And that's why the world is like, wait a minute, enough's enough. You know, it's fine. You want to do that job, and I'm all for that. My son wants to grow up and be a police officer. But you know what? I'm going to teach my son, you do it the right way or get your butt off the force. I'm trying not to cuss.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay, cool. Get the fuck off the force. You know, I mean, so many times you have cops that have gotten caught up in something, and then you look at they've been reprimanded for this, or they've been reprimanded for that, or they've been how many times you got to be reprimanded? How many times before somebody in that power, because this is a power and control thing, somebody in a powerful position go, hey, wait a minute, that's enough. You're stepping over the boundaries. You know what I mean? Like, you need to go. And then they get fired and they just go to other counties. You know what I mean? So then the same officers that are doing stuff are going to other towns, and then other people are having to deal with this. So this, to me, is not a Louisville situation. I mean, yes, obviously we're going to be rooted in Louisville, but this is a world thing. Like, we all need to be paying attention to what's going on, and there is nothing wrong for citizens asking for a little bit of accountability, because it's put on us. Let me switch a lane without a turning signal. Let me, you know what I mean? Let me run a stop sign. I have, you know, I grew up in an interracial family. I have an interracial family now. Not that long ago, my son moved into the predominantly white area, and he was harassed, all because he ran a stop sign. He ended up getting beat up and put in jail. Like, what? You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're gonna do your job, I don't care if you're at McDonald's working, do your damn job. Make them burgers the best burgers you can. If you're gonna be a police officer, be the best police officer that you can. I mean, we even had here in Louisville, we had and I can't remember the name of it right now, but we had what cops were trying to mentor kids. You know, and it came out there were all kinds of kids that got molested and raped. You know what I mean? Like, when is enough? When is enough?
If you're comfortable with it, talk more on your experiences. You mentioned that you are a human trafficking victim. Yes. How does that inform and influence your activism today?
So, because I'm a human trafficking survivor, you know, some of my clients are the same people that we all, you know, pastors, police officers, agents, you know what I mean? And so that's why I can understand it being a power and control type of situation. And it's, you know, in some sense, I almost say, now you guys, for so many years I've been telling people this and nobody believed me, right? We got the whole Epstein thing going on. Nobody believes the survivors. It wasn't, we're the victims are always the ones that lie. But yet, here we are. 2020, baby, clear vision. You know what I mean? And so, and it's just, it sucks. And now if people would just listen to some of the people, and because I was a prostitute or because I was a stripper, no one wanted to hear me. You know what I mean? And it's like, no, you guys, we've been having a problem, and it didn't just start. It's been a problem. The same people we go golfing or go to church or hang out with are the same people that are buying and selling. And let's not mistake, human trafficking is slavery. So while we celebrate slavery's over, it's not. Because if you're buying people and for your own whatever it is, that's still slavery. It is very much still a very active. And so when I'm not doing this, I'm fighting against legalizing prostitution because we can't do that either, right? And the reason why they want to do that is because pimps and buyers, if they don't want to arrest them, they arrest the victims. Because if you arrest the buyers, well, then you might see it's your pastor at your local church, or you might see it's a chief of police, or you might see it's a judge, or you know what I mean? So it's like, guess what, America? Your dirty little secrets are coming out.
Well, I think it really speaks to who you are as a person, that you are turning your life experiences into giving back and fighting for other people.
Right.
And what would you say to people who are sitting at home, maybe haven't gotten involved or don't know how to, or maybe just having their eyes open to the injustices?
Everybody has a role to play, okay? Not everybody's going to be down here protesting. You might buy water and drop it off. You might figure out, even if you don't live in Louisville and you want to do it in your own city, find out what's going on, who your council members are, find out, write letters to your mayors. If there's something that you've had an experience, and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't right, report it, speak up, see something, say something. You good at working on, can you do legislation? Awesome. Let's get some of these legislations, because see, this is bigger than just holding a couple cops accountable, right? We can get these cops to go to jail, but what do we do with the laws? A lot of these laws and things like that were made years ago and have nothing to do with what's going on right now in 2020 and later, on. So we have to have people at all levels. We have to have people that are going to protest. We need people that are going to be at home calling and writing letters. We need people that are good in government stuff that can change legislation and help change laws. There's a lot of different aspects. So if there's something you want to do, or better yet, just have a conversation with some of your family members, right? Because as we know, we all got that one uncle that's racist that, you know what I mean? Have those uncomfortable conversations with your friends. Don't believe everything you see on mainstream media. There's live stream groups and everything. Start finding out who's doing live stream. Watch their things. Yes, have we had to have things happen down here? Sure. But the majority of the time, the unity, the love that is down here, Louisville didn't have that before. So, even if that is good, as far as the community aspect, that already makes Louisville better. And that already makes the world better, because there's a lot of people that may not have had conversations with people that are now having conversations with people. So there's always something you can do, but looking away is not going to be acceptable anymore.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com, where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.